It is Sunday night hometown hockey, and we are in a great hockey city, the city of Winnipeg. Winnipeg hoping to get the offense unstuck. Calgary looking to add a few more feathers to their wings before they head home after what's so far been a pretty successful road trip. Great to have you with us. Sit back and enjoy some fine hockey on a Sunday night. Take a look at the starting goaltenders, or the silhouette of a starting goaltender just winning. There we go. That is Jonas Hiller getting the start. Free agent signing off Anaheim last season. 50 games played, 29 wins at the other end. Andre Pavlik last year, 22 wins, 26 losses, 3.01 goals against average. With many Winnipeg fans, a love-hate. Like many goalies, love him when he plays well, not so much when he struggles.
But he started out this season better than he finished the last, and when he plays well, he can be one of the top goalies in the league. It's just the consistency to his game that he's got to improve on.
And to be fair to him, a line forms to the right in terms of goalies who are looking for consistency.
Yeah, Paul Maurice wants his team to not focus on the lack of offense, being shut out 2 of the last 3 games, but just do all the right things, play the right way. The offense will come. Shuffle the entire lineup trying to get the right mix on still the very young season.
Puck just went into the bench there out of play, so that's the redrop at center. And away we go, fire down into Calgary territory. What a fine road trip it's been for the Flames. We will deal with that as the night goes on. There were many who thought a 6-game road trip after their home opener could be doom for the club, but it's been anything but.
Speculating if it went way wrong, their season could effectively be over 8 games in, 7 games in if they were to go 1-6 to start, but through good goaltending, some good breaks, and good play, they find themselves right where they want to be and make a 4-2 road trip incredibly successful here to start the year.
And swinging in is Glenn Cross. Tried to punch it through on goal. He vacuums in the loose puck. Just flicked up wide of the net. Trying to clear it there. Trouba looking for it. He's going to roll around back of the goal. Scheifele gets it up. Trouba up to Scheifele. And nice little move, steps in over the blue line and heads towards the net. Trouba fires one towards the goal, and that skips into the corner as it was ricocheted on its journey towards the goal. Back the other way, Setoguchi will clear it up, and play is whistled back.
Good opportunity off the rush for Winnipeg. Starts with Jacob Trouba, nice little backhand sauce, and then see you later. Matt Stage and Mark Scheifele dancing up the middle. Trouba joins the rush. Tees up the one-timer, but it gets blocked in. But what a nice set of hands in the middle of the ice by Mark Scheifele. Trouba always looking to jump up just the way the coaches want him to. Just couldn't quite get the puck all the way through to the net.
Trouba, such a young player and such a big responsibility. Led all rookies in ice time last year. About 22.5 minutes average ice time. Puck loose, in front, swinging up there was Frolik with a great chance. Jets with some early pressure. And the puck cleared down the ice to relieve that pressure, an icing call.
What an opportunity for the Jets, and TJ Gagliardi trying to get one against the team from last year. Good forecheck, turning the puck over. Lowry using that big body. Bounce out, here's Frolik. Kicks it right over. Gagliardi doesn't see it coming, almost hits him on the plate. Look at this, find the puck, he's looking for it. It's already right there to sweep into the empty net.
Trouba fires a shot, rebound in front. Just flicked wide of the goal. That was Byfuglien parked right in the doorstep after Trouba's shot came in from the right point. And a bit more pressure from Winnipeg. The Jets, like the way they played the first few minutes, I can't believe they've only scored once in their last few games.
Dustin Byfuglien as a forward. Good luck trying to find a puck through that massive humanity in front of you. You can't push him out of the way. You can't see around him. Jonas Hiller just takes the bottom of the net away and hopes that it hit him, and it did.
Yeah, he is a big old boy. You wouldn't want him planted right on the edge of the crease with his back towards it. And offside called on the Jets there. I believe the aforementioned Byfuglien was in one step ahead.
So the Calgary Flames, they lose their home opener. They head out on a 6-game road trip. Look at the records of the teams they placed on this road trip last year. Every one of them, you take the Oilers, not very good, but beyond that, every single one of them over 500. Certainly some of them significantly over 500. That was the kind of task that Bob Hartley and his Flames were facing, and they have passed it so far, 3-2 through the 5 games.
Postma. Hardy. on the wing. Peluso plays it up ahead. Wheeling in was Slater, and the play goes offside.
Jonas Hiller back in net for Calgary. He probably took the full 4 days to recover from the effort against Chicago on Wednesday. 50-shot victory in overtime over the Blackhawks. It was a one-man show, and Calgary got out of Chicago with a unlikely overtime victory on Michael Backman's goal, but all because of Jonas Hiller.
The guy who's had 29 or more wins 3 times during his career, and he had a career before he even came over to North America. He was a dominant goalie with Davos in the Swiss League for many years. Switch off there, and Strom tried to get it in front. The sharp angled zip towards the net. Puck bounces around. Wheeler not able to get a handle on it. Nice jump from the Jets so far.
Doing all the little things probably, but there's a frustration that can grow when you're getting good chances, doing the right things. And the time between goals continues to mount.
Well, I'm sure you've been there. I mean, what
Sadly,
well, no, but
far too often.
Maybe as an individual, but part of a team too. I mean, you must start second guessing.
Second guessing and then changing what you're trying to do, and that's what Paul Maurice doesn't want his squad to do. He wants to stay with the game plan. Don't let the goaltender, whoever it might be, get in your head. And Jonas Hiller certainly has the ability to do that. Look at the show he put on against Chicago. You remember, this is the Chicago Blackhawks, one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL, and they peppered him 3 straight periods and into overtime. 49 save victory. It was an incredible performance.
Puck comes back. Diaz trying to get it through on goal. You were at that game, were you not?
We were at that game, and it was, ice was tilted from start to finish.
That's one of those ones you run out of ways to say.
What are you going to say?
Save.
Chicago's playing well. Hiller's got all the answers, and you know what? Occasionally you need that as a team. You need that on the road just to have a goalie win one for you.
Sure did that night. Frolik comes up. Tips it across. Lowry in over the line, dropped it back. Stewart fires one in. Here's Lowry jumping right on it in the corner. Gets it around there for Frolik. This line keyed a nice chance a little bit earlier in this period. Frolik working at it with Lowry, trying to coax it loose. Vladislav Smid, number 15, trying to hold the fort for the Flames. Raymond after it. Puck rolls back there. Diaz will claim it. And we'll settle things down a little bit as the Flames make some changes. Shots on goal, 4-zip so far for Winnipeg. The significant number, 0-0 on the scoreboard. Puck rolls down. Postma back after it. He's ridden into the boards there by Bollig. But Bollig couldn't win the puck, and back quickly down the ice. In over the line is Bufflin. Whistles it up there. Plays it up the boards. Little back to the goal. Comes out. Party. Didn't have a shot there. Worked it over. Postma. Party. Waits. Shoots. That was partially blocked. Well, Bauma got his foot on it, and the puck knocked out. Postma back in his own zone. Party. And Ladd tucks it up there and takes off in over the line looking for the return feed. It's a little ahead of him. Oh, and he
won't. Giordano won't like that.
Yeah.
Ladd knew a high stick call was coming as soon as Giordano touched it, and he finished him anyways. Nothing illegal about it, not penalty worthy. A little dirty, a little mean-spirited, perhaps.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to play it out till the whistle goes. The whistle had not yet gone, and Ladd leans on Giordano. He knows a high stick whistle's coming up, and he's got him right in the, pushed him right in the numbers. Pretty awkward spot. Giordano won't like that, nor should he. This is what we're talking about with Paul Maurice, how his team wants to play from their own end. Look at everyone below the puck, simple passes, moving as a unit. No one's stretching out too far away, looking to cheat to create offense, but by doing better with their routes and their timing in their own end and through the neutral zone to create their rush opportunities. Perfect example of what Paul Maurice is looking for through the entire game from his team.
I didn't play the game in the NHL. You did, but I don't get that head. You know the whistle's coming. I don't get it. Nothing good is going to come from that. And a penalty coming up right here.
Offensive zone hooking penalty to Calgary, not the one you want to take on the road. Team's playing well against you, and now you're going to give them 2 minutes of the power play. Dave Jackson makes the call, hooking on Joe Colborne. He gets caught reaching right here on Toby Enstrom into his hands. Easy call to make. And now we talked about the offensive struggles for the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously their power play part of that. No goals on the year, clicking at a 0% success rate.
Yeah, it has been brutal. 0 for 12 on the power play. And dropping down to block, that was Bauma, and he gets up and he's okay. Really paid the price there. Meanwhile, Perreault trying to get it in front. Plays it all the way back. Tight roping along the line there is Byfuglien. Gets it down. Wheeler. Byfuglien, no shot there, so he plays it over. Back across for Wheeler. Nice quick series of passes there, one side to the other to set Wheeler up for the shot. Brodie gets it up, and the puck boosted down the ice. 1:20 to go in the power play. Lots of time for the Jets. And as Mike pointed out, Jets 0 for 12 on the power play. Wheeler wheels in. Lost the puck there. It's just chipped up along the boards, and jumping right on it was Weidman.
That almost went over the far glass 2 feet higher, and that'd be a 5-on-3.
Little snaps it across. Trouba, who loves to jump up there. He's got it in the corner now. Trouba was not back at the right point. Trying to cover for him was Bogosian. Bogosian with it now. Bogosian plays it up for Little. Tucks it in over the blue line. For Leach. Couldn't hang on to it. Brodie plays it across. Long pass up, and Glenn Cross comes in offside.
You see Lance Bouma on the bench. This is a miserable place to be, standing in front of Dustin Byfuglien's one-timer. He goes down and makes a save, gets it into his hand. Stays on the ice. Thank goodness he's got a cage. One wasn't enough. He drops down and takes another one from Dustin Byfuglien. He's already banged up. The other night in Nashville, he goes into the boards incredibly awkwardly. You see him wearing a cage, and that's because he's getting tangled up with Gostic, getting his face caught on the dasher. But that's the way he has to play to be in the NHL. Was second amongst forwards in the entire NHL with block shots last year with 87. He sacrificed his body to get on the ice like he just did.
Byfuglien floats it up towards the corner. 23 seconds to go on the power play for the Jets. Looking for that first power play goal of the season. From the line, Enstrom didn't have a shot. He's going to walk it up there along the boards. Gets it out. Ladd tips it back towards the blue line. Little is open over on the weak side just above the circle. But it comes back to Byfuglien. Dropping down there. Again with the block was Bouma. Puck comes up. Little was waiting for it, but it's played out. Oh, and he just labors over the bench, does Bouma. Meanwhile, that was a good chance for Coburn, shorthanded. I was watching Bouma going to the bench, to be honest. He was really laboring after that last block.
Thought we saw all the action out of the penalty box last night in the Montreal-Colorado game. Another breakaway as Joe Colborne steps out of the box.
Puck played up. Goodrow passes it off, goes towards the net. Coburn fires the shot, and it's tipped up and out of play. 6 shots on goal so far for the Jets. No goals yet from the MTS Center in Winnipeg. You're watching Rogers Hometown Hockey on City.
See Lance Bouma on the bench sporting the shiner with the cage. What a sequence on the penalty kill for Lance Bouma. Quick one-timer of Dustin Byfuglien. That does not feel good. He takes that in the thumb, fights it off, doesn't make a change. Why not? Block another one. Gets out there, same penalty kill. 3 for $1. Why not? That hurts. And for the guys on the bench, his teammates, they respect that. They understand that that's not an easy thing to do. Many guys on the team can't and won't do what he just did. And that's the equivalent of one of your skill players going and getting a hat trick. That's the way he's got to play. He gets the high fives. He gets the respect from his teammates for sacrificing his body and feeling like that after a shift.
Oh, Lance Bouma, a tip of the hat to you. And when he got to the bench, he was welcomed to the players.
There's stick taps, there's pats in the back as they realize that is an awful place to be, standing in front of Dustin Byfuglien's one-timer.
Postma back in his own zone, gets it up along the boards. Gagliardi in over the line, dishes off. Lowry moving in, fired it right through the blue paint. It zips up off the boards. Hardy digs it back into the corner. Gagliardi up there, couldn't get to it. Up along the boards, Goodrow plays it back. Russell Gaudreau back in the lineup tonight, by the way, after being a healthy scratch, and Coach Bob Hartley saying, you know, he took it well. A lot of good guys early in their career sit and watch.
I don't know how you take a healthy scratch well. This is a kid who is only used to having success. Everywhere he's been, he's been great. Hobey Baker Award winner, best player in college hockey last year at Boston College. Rightfully so. He put on a clinic offensively under Coach Jerry York, one of my former coaches at Bowling Green. And he
off
could
the
do
draw, puck fired there. Peluso let it whistle, and it pinged. Oh, the light goes on. So they will review this. Sort of run you over there, Mike.
No. Right off the draw, kicks it back. That hit multiple bars, it looked like. Dave Jackson's right there. He's got a great look, and he pointed I was in. And here we'll see. No crossbar, down and out. Great look right there. Tells you everything you need to know. You can tell that it bounced twice on its way out. Jonas Hiller has no idea. He just felt it go ring, ring behind his shoulder. And he'll get away with not even a save on that, as off the face-off play, wide open, rolling puck. Great look. Crossbar, and then not even behind the red line, in and out. Clear, that shouldn't take very long, no goal. And that is a busted coverage. On a one draw, you should not be teeing up a one-timer 20 feet away.
You finish your point about Gaudreau now.
Yeah. Well, listen, Johnny Gaudreau's playing right wing right there. That's his man.
After video review, the puck hit the crossbar, no goal.
Just like he knew it. Good angles for Jonas Hiller, just like I knew it would. And he's checking out the mark on the bar. Gaudreau's dropping back to get open. He's got to hang in the slot a little bit more as Peluso steps into that rolling puck. And again, it hit the crossbar. It went straight down. It looked a little funny, like it hit a couple different surfaces. And I think that's what fooled Dave Jackson. And Jonas Hiller catches a break and keeps the score scoreless.
He didn't catch it. He had the angle. He tell you, he had the angle. That's a tough one to catch in live action if you're Dave Jackson. Even right down there by the net, so fast. Just backhanded wide by Brody. And the puck fired across there in front. This is Ladd. Long wrist shot in. Dead bounce off the boards. Bufflin fired it across. That bounced off of Hiller and came out. Creeping in over the line. Monahan waits, shoots. Had a bead on that top glove corner, I think. Puck rolls around. Ladd looking for it. Calgary hustling into change. Shots on goal 7-1 in favor of the Jets. 0-0 on the board. This is Vladislav Smid. Carefully on the way back out. Boma couldn't get a stick on it. I got a feeling Boma after tonight is just going to be one giant bruise.
Ice bags galore on the plane ride home.
Hustling up there to get to it. Going to step in is Perreault. Perreault working up there with Scheifele. Into the corner. Back for Stewart. Stewart. Boma watching him. Scheifele's parked in front. Perreault in the corner. Gets it back in the goal. Wheeler trying to tuck it out there. Scheifele just lurking in the long grass. Now he gets it, scores! He was lurking in the long grass, but spread out to finish it. Scheifele with the goal.
Good offense zone sequence. Hard work along the boards. Good line change by Paul Maurice. He's got his first line out against the fourth for Calgary, and they just win the battles. Look at the body position. Perreault on Diaz. Byron goes fishing. Smid goes fishing. And all of a sudden, a 3-on-3 down low is up with Mark Scheifele on the back door all by himself. But look at Perreault wins that battle. Now Byron's chasing. Diaz is chasing. And so is Smid. And nice feed from Blake Wheeler to the back door for Scheifele's first of the year.
On their 8th shot of this first period, the Jets find the back of the net. Scheifele did it, read the play, stepped up, hammered it home, and Winnipeg's on top. More to come in a moment.
Jets fans have seen their first goal of the season at MTS Center. Meanwhile, Evander Kane is such a talent. He's expected to fill the net to the tune of 30 or 40 each year. He'll have to quicken the pace this season. He lasted 1 minute and 24 seconds in the Jets season opener in Phoenix. He and Mark Scheifele collided knee on knee. Looked ominous for Kane. The Jets were relieved when the initial diagnosis was for him to miss 2 weeks. But to clarify, that's 2 weeks before he starts skating, which would be next week. So Kane faces the prospect of missing all of October, Paul.
Postma fires it in. Thanks, Scott. Kane, well, he's a bit of a conundrum. In 11-12, he had 30 goals, which was, the high water mark. Then 19 last season when he played 63 games. And I guess they're wondering, what are we going to get out of him?
I've seen a lot of Winnipeg play in the last few years. Evander Kane is one of the most talented players physically in the NHL. As fast a straight line skater as there is, can shoot, is very tough, has had a revolving door of line mates, never found a good fit with anyone until they fought Mark Scheifele last year, but he fought injuries for so much of the year. They just want him to get healthy and get comfortable, and the goals will certainly come.
Little up there along the boards, gets it back in the net for Ladd, turns the shoulder. Oh, sweet little move as he spun around and zipped it across there in front. Little was just parked off the edge of the crease. Brody gets it up, and puck fired up off the boards. Enstrom there's to pick it up. Enstrom clears it up. TJ Brody. Coburn couldn't wheel it in. Here's Trouba. Fans getting a chant going. This is one of the more lively buildings in the NHL. I like coming here. Here's Trouba. Oh, what a rush. Does he get a shot? Just from the bad angle, and the puck skitters there, but it's back in his stick. Trouba takes the scenic route back by the blue line and then turns it over. Goodrow plays it back up ahead. But nice rush by Jacob Trouba down that right side. Oh, and then Stewart rattles his man Backlund along the boards. Backlund back into the play, plays it to the line. Russell fires one in, and that is stopped in hell by Pavlik.
So much expected out of Jacob Trouba after a great rookie season from behind his own net. Hard cut to generate the ice. Leave Gaudreau, soft chip to himself, another soft chip to himself, and he takes it all the way in onto Jonas Hiller. You love the confidence of a guy who wants to make a pass, head up the whole time, but he's also willing to take it on his own. Doesn't try to stick handle pass guys, use the boards as his friend and his legs, his two best assets, for a nice individual rush. And I'll be happy to see that as they need some guys to start feeling a little bit better about their offensive games here in Winnipeg.
At the risk of being heretical, because I know it's hometown hockey night in Canada, but Trouba, a product of the excellent U.S. National Development Team program south of the border that has churned out so many high-quality players. Peluso plays it out. Hiller making a kick at it. Hardy. Oh, puck rolls in front. Oh, a potential gift for Jim Slater. My goodness, and Hiller was right there with the answer, fortunately for the Flames.
Bailing out his Swiss countrymate, Rafa Diaz, as he's called now, goes tape to tape right to Jim Slater, unfortunately. And that is a very good save from Jonas Hiller, because he's going to be on his crease. He's not ready to handle it. Slater looks up to the sky in frustration as he tries to go top glove. Didn't get it high enough to get it under the bar. That is a brutal giveaway from Diaz, and that's the kind that you want more of those, and that's the end of your night.
Yes. Bench meet Rafa. Rafa bench.
Get comfortable. You're now the stopper. The guy who stops the forwards from bumping into the defenseman.
Setaguchi. Glencross up there looking for it. Weidman puts it in on goal. Not much on it by the time it got there. And Pavlik will hang on to it. Only the second shot on goal for Calgary.
Let's see Setaguchi scrumming it up with his former teammates. And Bob Hartley realizes it's going to be a work in progress this year. He realizes he doesn't have the most talented team, certainly not in the Western Conference, and he's going to have to rely on good goaltending. But he also understands that getting outshot and outscored early on in every game is not going to be good enough. They don't have the kind of offense that can generate comeback after comeback. We saw it against Chicago, very much against Nashville, and now shots 11-3 already for Winnipeg. Not good enough, even though it is the last game of a road trip that has been successful. Still have to be better to start the game.
Brody. Rudler. Ladd flicked it up. Ryan Little trying to get up there after it. Rides into the boards with Giordano. And they are tied up. Puck sitting there loose. Ladd gets to it. Ladd and Little. Puck knocked across. Brody will pick it up. Giordano. And the puck steered back. Enstrom had company. Onto the tape there for Ladd. Dishes across for Little. He'll fire it in, and then Little was jarred over there by the bench. That was Coburn who stepped into him before he steps off. Long pass up there. Gaudreau was just skulking there outside the blue line looking for the long pass.
Certainly, Winnipeg has controlled the pace of play in this first period. Strong forechecks, not only physically, but also with their sticks. Dustin Byfuglien leads with his stick. Brian Little seals his check. And now it's alive. Another one. Little body position. Lead with your stick. Don't just lead with your body. Creates loose pucks, offensive zone turnovers, more offensive zone time. Not just about going for the big hit, but also watching the skilled teams do it. Lead with that stick, create turnovers, more possession.
Weidman steps into the corner. Sharp angle shot on goal is stopped. Mike, I know you were saying something. We were just chatting before the game as we do and sort of getting used to things up here. And you said when you're at the end of a long road trip, the danger is you're just, you got to play that last game, but you're thinking about getting home.
All you're thinking about is getting that plane, getting home, the stuff you have to do, whether you want to see your family, whether you have to go buy groceries, whatever it's going to be. It's hard. You think, well, whatever, focus on the game. It shouldn't be difficult. It is. You start thinking about getting home and the comforts of that. And for a team like Calgary, they don't have any margin but being on top of their game. If they take their foot off their focus in any way, then you might get a result like this, get outshot and dominated in the first period. The only good part is that they've survived it to this point. It's only 1-0. Could have been worse because Paul Maurice has got his team out playing very well to start this game. So Bob Hartley is going to try to rally his troops in this first intermission. Tell them, listen, 2 more periods, then we worry about the plane trip, then we worry about the day off tomorrow. Let's get engaged into this game.
Gagliardi bouncing it up. Here's Slater through the neutral zone, comes in. Frolik driving towards the corner. He's number 67, but couldn't get there in time. Oh, puck is picked off, stolen. Thorburn strides up there, penalty coming up. It is going to go against Calgary. Another giveaway there. Pressure on Postma. Tries to slide it down low, and he sort of looks down as Postma wondering whether he should have just gotten it on target. In any event, power play coming up, and we will have it for you right after this.
Rafa Diaz to the box for Calgary, and probably happy to get there as opposed to the bench early in the period. Tries to go D to D, goes D to Jim Slater right in front of his net. That is a terrible giveaway. Now you got to keep it out of the middle, right? Or does he go right back up the middle, picked off by Thorburn, compounds the issue with a hooking penalty, and now the Calgary Flames are short for 2 minutes or less as a nightmare first period for Rafa Diaz continues.
Came to camp in a tryout contract, another 1-year deal. Puck fired in there wide. It'll skip up around the boards. Byfuglien keeps it in. Bounces down. Wheeler's there along the boards now. He was looking to go back to Byfuglien, but a bit of a misfire. Wheeler drops it down low. Oh, he tried to get it across to Enstrom, who moved in from that right point. Meanwhile, Boma comes back down. Shot blocker extraordinaire so far tonight is Boma, and that's why he's out there. Wheeler, meanwhile, drops it back. Driving up there is Scheifele in back of the goal. Brody tapped it away from him. Scheifele falls to the ice. Puck pushed to the line. Enstrom looking around, assessing. Gets it over to Byfuglien. Scheifele. And locking horns there with Station. Puck pushed up towards the corner, comes out. Oh, just couldn't get a tangle. Byfuglien was there. Enstrom moves it up. Perreault looking. Scheifele goes towards the front of the net. Came out to him and the pass was blocked by Brody. Nice play there by Brody. Puck comes across. Enstrom. Top of the point. No shot for Byfuglien. Scheifele slides it down low. Puck comes right up there in front. A chance for Perreault. And he couldn't finish it off. Byfuglien works it across. Enstrom tucks it up there for Wheeler. Drops it down low. He'll stride up towards the net into the play. Back to the line. And the stick of Enstrom disintegrates. Team's now even. Backing towards the front was Scheifele. Even because the stick was broken, he had to go to the bench and get a new one. Byfuglien back out there. Wheeler had to take it on his backhand, but he salvages the play. Gets it up. It comes back. Byfuglien dancing there back at the goal. Waiting. Scheifele passes it back across to the right point, and there is no one home.
Good pressure, but you see the lack of continuity a little bit in that power play. They're very close, but they're just not quite connecting despite the full 2 minutes in zone.
You're absolutely right. Paul Maurice was expressing those sentiments before the game. They're going to the right places, but it's just not automatic enough. It's just not clicking effortlessly.
Still thinking a little bit, not just feeling it and knowing. And that's the hesitation that you need to turn what could be a good power play into one that has not clicked yet this year.
Swat there. Gagliardi gets it down the ice, and it's an icing call on Winnipeg. Well, you won't want to miss Scorpion. You can catch it on City. New episode coming up at 9. All kinds of intrigue and behind the scenes fun stuff. That's Scorpion, Mondays at 9 on City. Stewart skating back. Here's Ladd. Smeed. Wideman. Trouba. Oh, Trouba had it pulled away. Monahan was up there. Recovering nicely. And Ladd back the other way. Charges in over the line. Swings it across. Trouba jumping right up there. No doubt about that. Couldn't get a shot away that time. Boy, he's fun to watch. Number 8, Jacob Trouba for Winnipeg. Here's Trouba with it at the left point. Little spinorama move. Echoes of Savard with that little Savardian spinorama. Back to the line. Party punched it towards the goal. That was knocked away. Maluso lofting it back in. Bounces up there to Thorburn. Maluso walks it here to the boards. Slater headed off at the pass. Raymond poking at it for the Flames. Couldn't get it out. Postma works it over. Party, nice move. Shoots. That ricocheted off a leg. And Giordano gets to it and gets it out. Again, good pressure by Winnipeg. Slater. This is Raymond. Long wrist shot in, steered away by Padlock. Glenn Cross flying up there for the Flames. Postma. Knocked down. Wideman. And stalled at the circle. Russell slips it up ahead. Staging going towards the net. So too is Glenn Cross, who's after it here in the corner. Back at the line, Wideman, good low shot on goal, a heavy shot that found its way through to Padlock, and he stopped it. Flames with a little late period pressure. Wideman gets it up into the corner, under 20 seconds to go. And Wideman could keep it in that time. Tried to glove it down.
Maybe a little something for Calgary to build off some offensive zone time, a couple shots, and just down by one after one will feel like a victory.
And the final seconds will count down here. Not a bad first period of entertainment. Shifley with the lovely goal for Winnipeg. That's the only one we have to talk about. We are heading back to beautiful downtown Selkirk, Manitoba on the other side of this break as hometown hockey continues in a moment. Well, it sure was, Scott. And I mean, as a rookie, 13 goals, 21 assists for 34 points. And you mentioned bone of contention might be slightly strong, but 7th overall pick in 2011. And there were those who wondered. Wonder no more. Certainly the ways he's been performing lately. Puck turned over there. Shifley walked right across in front, and that one's knocked away. Almost right on cue there for Shifley. And an icing call.
Second period picks up right where the first one left off, with Winnipeg creating turnovers and offensive chances. Good forecheck again. Hard pitch down the wall, good support from Perreault, good stick battles, and then Shifley beating his man off the wall, takes to the net, and then, Wheeler just trying to bank it in, whip it across the front of the net. They like that activity, everything down towards the front of the net. That's where they'll get their goals from.
Long pass comes up ahead, striding in is Hudler. Here he is again. Oh, just trickling away from him at the line. Looked like Hudler was going to get another shot. Puck comes up. Crisply up there to Setaguchi and over the blue. Oh, he blew a wheel just inside the blue line. And back the other way. Black looks towards the middle. Little didn't get up there quite in time. Too little in the middle, you might say, on that occasion. Puck just bounces in over the blue line. Setaguchi plays it up. Coburn with a whack at it. Perreault. Shifley tangled up there with Weidman in the corner. Weidman trying to fish it loose, and does. Setaguchi, little touch pass, got it across, comes out to the neutral zone. Play kind of breaks down there. Setaguchi couldn't catch up to it. Gets a second crack at it. There with Monahan. Monahan, number 23, up there, ranging towards the play for the Flames, but back the other way. Shifley brings it in around the boards. This is Raymond. Tucks it across. Goodrow looking towards the slot. Nice little curl. Comes back out. Fires one. Had a beat on the short side. Havlik got his arm up on it. Back towards the line. Here's Smeed. Raymond had it roll past him. Perreault clears it down the ice. And icing will be called on the Jets.
Jiri Hudler with a good Calgary's best chance of the game. Right off a draw. Look at him. He's playing the left wing on the outside. And he's out, and Bogosian's looking for the ring, and there goes Hudler right up the middle for the breakaway. Elects for the slapper from the hash marks. Had lots of room up top, but you see, your defenseman, and you have Jiri Hudler on this, you have to be aware he loves blowing the zone, sneaking in behind you. You can't be so puck-focused like Bogosian was there and forget about where Hudler is.
Puck rolls over there near the boards, played back at the line, cranking it up was Diaz, whistled one in. Diaz had a rough first period. Puck rolls down in front. And he's hustling back after the puck now. Appeared when he was sitting in the penalty box at one point in that first period, though he may have been suffering from the flu. I wonder if he's not on his game.
It has gone through, not to mention the 6-game road trip starting the season. They have been fighting the flu through the Calgary lineup as well. And so I'm sure several guys are probably not quite 100%. Another reason to get home, but it's been a better start to the second period here for Calgary. Engaged on the forecheck, good support from Matt Stajan, and then Bollig doing the right thing, taking that puck right to the net. Don't be fancy, don't look for a next better play. The best play is to take it right to the crease. And that'll earn the fourth line a little bit more ice time, forechecks like that.
Well, Bollig went hard to the front of the net, and he found the shoulder of Mark Stewart.
That's it. Hey, it's going to happen when you go there, and that's the price you're going to pay.
Weidman. Going to break it up back there. Backlund was looking for it, but the Jets generating a bit of forechecking pressure. Puck comes back to the line. Zipped up by Enstrom. Right on the line. Waved off. Jets will keep the pressure on. That was close. Oh, so close. Knocked down. Lowry blew a wheel. Comes in and Hiller bats it away. Bit of a fire drill for the Flames in their own zone. No pun intended. Russell, lots of room, hits center, in over the line. Russell looking, drops it back there. Pass coming across, batted just wide of the goal, comes off the boards. It rolls around, taking a jab at it again is Byron. Had that chance a moment ago. Smeed with it now. He shoots. That stopped. Flames on a change. Byron with the best chance of the lot, and then there was a quick line change. Setaguchi plays it back. Coburn trying to dig it out. Glenn Cross up there too for the Flames. And skating back there to head it off with the pass was Smeed. Weaves around back in his own zone, being badgered by Peluso, who comes up with that puck. Here's Peluso, walks to the side, couple cracks at it. Hiller with the save, now tries the wraparound, and it just rolled off his stick. Good effort up there, led by Peluso. Back in, Byfuglien. Little curl move towards the corner. Sends it around back. This is Ladd with it. Byfuglien looking. Got it out in front. Pass was behind Ladd, who was going the other way. Got by Trouba. Goodrow up and created a bit of a chance, although the puck got away from him on the shot. Now here's Goodrow. Couldn't quite head it off there at the back of the net. Here's Byfuglien. Knifes it up and ahead. Ladd powering in on it towards the corner. Brody got there first. Raymond dipping and twisting. Puck knocked down. Goodrow plays it up towards the corner. Monahan up there, number 23. Flames again hustling in changes. Nice pace here in this second period. Sweeping it over the line. Perreault gets it down in front of the net. And it was rolling around. Wheeler couldn't gain control. Wheeler there, just outside the blue line, but stolen. Giordano. Giordano gets it up ahead. Brody. This is Party. Tapped up by Russell. Here's Russell. Goes to the front of the net looking for the return feed. Comes back out. Scores! Wideman. Dennis Wideman walked right in. Could see the whites of the goalie's eyes and found the net.
Chris Russell makes the entire play happen right here on the wall. Watch the hard pitch. The reverse from Party to Postma, but right here, steps in front, stays with the play, cuts inside, drops it, then doesn't stop back, drives the lane. Matt staged a nice seam pass to Dennis Wideman. One thing Dennis Wideman has always been able to do is shoot the puck. And Andre Pavlik is beaten badly on that one, leaning to his left, all kinds of room to his right. But you love the aggressive pitch from Chris Russell, not just to keep it alive, but to make the play and continue on down to the front of the net, open up the seam, trust the pass and his partner for the goal.
The season is scored by number 6, Dennis Wideman. The assist number 18.
That sure was a great effort from Russell. Went to the net as a decoy, and the puck went back to Wideman, and he was able to finish. And here come the Flames again. Oh, good chance there as it was fired by Hudler coming in off the right side. Another shot just wide. Hudler with a couple chances this period as the Flames notch it up a little bit, noticeably since that first period. Swinging in over the line. Oh, Slater dragged it back, and it went right off his stick. There's Russell. Just failing to click there with Glenn Cross. Byfuglien shoots. Quick little rush shot on goal. Hiller stops it and hangs on. The Flames get on the scoreboard. Dennis Wideman with the goal from the MTS Center in Winnipeg. You're watching Rogers Hometown Hockey on City.
Jonas Hiller happened to see his team get on the board and even things up. It was almost a 2-goal game as this puck is drifting across the goal line. He gets the paddle down, makes a save. Shortly thereafter, Calgary goes to the other end. Wideman ties things up, and give credit to Bob Hartley and that Calgary bench, because whatever they said in between periods, whatever they did, shuffle the lines, it has worked. They have been the much better period in the second.
He just wrote on the whiteboard, possible film session tomorrow.
Day off is in peril, and that is usually enough to get the guy's attention.
Here's Byfuglien, just lofting it up there, looking for something. It was Little going towards the front of the net, hoping for a rebound. Byfuglien foraging there along the boards, got it back to Little. Back up for Big Buff, got away from him. Giordano plays it up around the boards. Boma plays it down towards the corner. Oh, Boma throws himself with ferocity into Stewart. Puck comes back along the boards. Raymond comes over. Russell steps up. A little bit too far that time. Wideman, the Calgary goal scorer, flicks it up along the right side. Havlik out to play it. Gets it up around the boards, trying to get it towards the front was Bollig. Scheifele legging it in, fired one.
That's too many men. Yes, he got a bang on Ryan Galloway right there, and he wasn't going to miss that.
Penalty Shot, brought to you by Dodge Caravan Kids, helping over 150,000 boys and girls play the game we love.
Oh, you were all over this. You're a linesman in training.
Well, you see the guys jump, and all of a sudden Trouba and Stewart not yet back. Stewart jumps in the center box. He's not even on the bench. He's in the in the gap between the two benches, and not much complaint to be had there from Paul Maurice. And Matthew Perreault goes to serve it, although it was all four defensemen, the two going off, the two coming on, were guilty of that jump.
Winnipeg Catholic, a 2-minute bench liner for too many men to be served number 85.
So power play chance here for Calgary. Shot flicked in towards the goal by Hoodler. Brody up in the corner. And now cruising back. Meanwhile, moving in, good little wrist shot there from Monahan, but the rebound finds its way down the ice. Hiller dishes off. Giordano. Brody. Big chance here for the Flames to turn the tables. TJ Brody. Monahan. Backed up there by Glenn Cross. Hoodler. Oh, turned over. Look out, Frolic coming in. Shoots. Rising shot. Wrestled down. Rebound. Fired towards the goal, and that was knocked away. That was Lowry coming in with the second chance, shorthanded. Here comes Brody. Snakes his way to center. Nice little no-look pass. Well, that's what you get with a no-look pass. Here's Trouba. Clears it up ahead. Ladd comes to the middle. Worked it over. Just punched wide by Little. Tried the one-timer. And fired down the ice by Enstrom. Couple good chances for Winnipeg shorthanded.
I love their aggression playing up the ice, not even letting Calgary get out of their own end right now.
Here comes Coburn, dying moments of this power play. Coburn off the boards there for Raymond. Gets loose, finds some ice, shoots, rebound sitting there. Goodrow scores! Goodrow right there to clean it up. Tucks it in, and the Flames grab the lead with a power play goal.
You heard the guys in the studio talk about what's he like with a puck on a stick. He's an elite NHL offensive player. You get a sense of the hands, the quickness. Nice play by Raymond keeping it alive. Good touch by Colburn. And how about the quick hands, big reach all the way around for his first of the season. But way behind the goal line, he sees Pavlik sealed, goes down to his knees to create the angle and leverage for the quick tuck. And you know he feels so much relief. Back in the lineup, on the score sheet, creating offense the way he wants to.
Well, there had been some speculation that I read that he may be sent back down to the minors after the road trip, but he'll go down on a bit of a jet stream of confidence after that. Bowling. Backhanding it in. Goodrow gets the goal on the power play. And Coburn and Raymond pick up the assists.
And another nice coaching job by Bob Hartley, getting him out of the power play.
Setaguchi trying to get it up towards the goal. Glenn Cross was looking for it. Giordano fires it in. That was adventurous. Oh, stepping out in front. Glenn Cross. Giordano stepping up. Shifley. Stajan knocks it down through traffic and takes the return feed. Here comes Matt Stajan. Here come the reinforcements. Stepping up there. Giordano shoots. Rebound. Right there at the side of the net. Coburn was in. They scramble after it. Coburn trying to wrap it around. Pavlik has lost his stick. It's in behind the net. As play continues, Lowry drops the shoulder, tries to cut in. Puck knocked away by Hiller. Pavlik has retrieved his stick, and play continues. What a period. Monahan plays it up. Kudler fires it in. Pavlik knocks that away. Here's Trouba. Taps it up ahead. Eliardi got it across. Driving towards the corner was Frolik. He's tied up along the boards. Eliardi for Frolik. Oh, punched it right across in front of the goal. Here's Trouba. Coburn overskated it. Goodrow scored the go-ahead goal for Calgary. And gets it up towards the corner for Backlund. Had Slater in his back pocket. Peluso. Coburn. Stop the puck there by Weidman. Oh, and then Weidman was hammered. Play continues. Puck scores. Raymond. Mason Raymond gets the goal. And just on the heels of a tremendous hit that Dennis Weidman took.
This is taking a hit to make a play. Salzow gets crushed, but gets the puck up to Goodrow. Good speed by Raymond, and we've seen that. He loves top shelf. You can hear that hit. Goodrow creating some time and space. Raymond fills in, quick developing 2-on-1, and Pavlik with no answer for Mason Raymond, who now has 5 on this early season already. As he's brought in to score goals, he's done just that. Dennis Weidman, he'll take the break, catch his breath. Winnipeg, Paul Maurice has seen enough. He calls a timeout. And he's talking to his troops right now, not good enough. Matter of fact, but he is an intense man on the bench, and he demands your attention. He's getting it right now.
Well, I know if you knew the definitive answer, you'd be coaching and not working in television, but I mean, how does that happen?
That's not the case. I'd rather be here than coaching.
Fair enough. But they were so dominant in that first period, Winnipeg, offensively, creating chances, great flow, fun to watch. They've lost it all here in the second.
Well, you give Calgary some credit. They're competitors. They're NHLers. They're going to get better. And then there's the psychological element of it, too, where Winnipeg feels a little good about themselves. Things are going well, and they drop their level just a hair. Calgary raises theirs, and that's the margin in this game. And Calgary has been by far the better team here. And some better finishing around the net for the Calgary Flames than the Winnipeg Jets.
It's a cliche, but I'll pull it out. I mean, it looks as though the team switched sweaters between periods. It has just been that much of a switch around.
But right early in the second period, Winnipeg was a little loose. They had some turnovers, were not quite as focused with their puck management, and it gave Calgary some life, some reason to become more engaged in this game than they had been because they're getting to play with it again.
And the puck slipped up there. Paul Byron was trying to find a seam. Byron going towards the front of the net. They couldn't get it to him. Bogosian plays it up ahead. Oh, Bufflin was rattled there by Glenn Cross along the boards. Not a call I thought I'd be making. Here's Brody. Long pass up ahead. Byron. Puck fired in. Setaguchi was looking for the rebound.
That 2-on-1's almost created because Zach Bogosian's in there trying to get in on the forecheck. Paul Maurice talked about it. Sometimes less is in fact more. Just do your job and trust everyone else to do theirs. Don't open yourselves up by doing too much.
Scheifele was bumped there as he came in over the blue line. Coburn. Kicking it into gear is Bolig. And then gets stuck up there along the boards. Pass missing Wheeler. And just missing up there on the right side. Boma was looking for it. Boma's up there forechecking now, trying to recover. Here's Sneed. Up for Boma. Staging. Locking shoulders with Trouba as they continue a little battle behind the play. Boma, nice little dippy-divey move there in the corner. Gets it back towards the blue line, and Diaz couldn't keep it in. Now here's Diaz under some heat. And lost an edge there and fell into the boards. Meanwhile, play continues. This is Staging. Under 5 minutes to go here in the second period. Smead tucks it up ahead. Staging was ready to kick it into gear. Didn't have the afterburners. It's fired in there. Boma got it in. It was knocked away. Puck rolled up by Slater. Thorburn contending there with Glenn Cross. Thorburn still working it. And it squeezes just out between a couple of defenders. Wheeling it back up with a big look is Bogosian. And then turns it over. In over the blue line. Monahan fires it. It's tipped up over the glass and out of play. 3:58 to go in this second period. From the MTS Center in Winnipeg, you're watching Rogers Hometown Hockey on City.
It has been a tale of two periods for the Calgary Flames. Not good at all in the first and fantastic here in the second. 3 goals. First one by Dennis Wyman off a nice forecheck. Tiny little wraparound on the power play from Johnny Gaudreau. And then Mason Raymond, who does this all the time, streaking down, drag and pull wrister, loves the top glove. And just like that, the Calgary Flames find themselves up by 2 here late in the second.
Shots on goal, 22-21 for the Flames as they've turned the table in the shots on goal department as well. Scheifele. Bogosian played it up ahead. Wheeler in over the blue line. Down low. Tried to sharpen right across there in front, but turned back. Raymond pushes it up towards the corner. He's got Gaudreau up there with him, as well as Monahan. They all converge on it. Enstrom. Raymond. Monahan. Switches off there in the corner. Monahan gets it back to the blue line to Russell. Enstrom. Wheeler. Scheifele was there with him, but they are both going to peel off to the bench as Winnipeg coach Paul Maurice gets in a few changes. Here comes Russell starting back. Lots of room on that left wing. Gets it up and in over the blue line, trying to kick it into gear. Setaguchi didn't have enough to get there. Now he's chasing it down in the corner. Setaguchi trying to pin down Stewart. Wasn't able to do it that time. Gagliardi, long wrist shot in. Hiller just steers that out of harm's way for the time being. Stewart tried to fire a wrist shot through. Nice job by Setaguchi to get in front of it. Giordano. Glenn Cross plays it down there, and I can hear the lineman all the way up here yelling ice, and it is an icing call.
Calgary's focus now trying to finish this period, get out of here with this 2-goal lead. And Bob Hartley will be very pleased. They'll be one period away from really, when you think about it, such a successful road trip, an unlikely one. If they could go 4-2 on a 6-game road trip against that kind of opponent.
Oh, teed up there and whistle by Bogosian. Brody. And finally comes out. Bogosian plays it back in. Brody. Up ahead quickly. Long pass comes over. Moving in. Byron stops. Waits for the reinforcements to pour over the boards. They do. Will it be in time? Well, maybe not. Bogosian, couldn't get it out. Byron ready to fire one on goal. That was knocked down. Chance to reload for Russell. That was stopped. Russell waiting back there at the blue line. They couldn't get it back to him. Trying to chase it down is Backlund. Pocket picked cleanly there by Enstrom. Very steady defenseman for Winnipeg, and he saucers it all the way down the ice. Puck comes up and around. Left there for Backlund, burrowing up on the left side, dropped it back, moving in with a good quick shot was Boma. That was stopped. Rebound comes back out. Giordano trying to fire it in. Boma got disoriented and couldn't find the puck. And this is Trouba. Trouba brings it in. Comes down. Wheeler up there after it in the corner, trying to center it. Scheifele parked in front. Now he steps back there to claim it. Scheifele got it over to the corner. Scheifele looking. Nobody in front yet. Perreault getting into position. Trouba shooting. Fired it just wide. Rebound. A hot one comes off the boards. Too hot to handle for Stewart, who couldn't keep it in.
Scheifele was right there waiting for that carom off the boards, and Matt Stage with a quick stick broke it up.
Long pass coming up. Trouba knocked it down. Moves it ahead. Inside the final 30 seconds of this period. Lowry got it through. Waiting. Oh, fired there by Frolik. Was trying to tuck it across for a pass. He had Lowry up there with him. Puck back towards the line. Stewart moves it over. Trouba shoots. Blocked by his skate. Knocked down. Stewart keeps it in. Trouba moving in. Gets a shot. Tipped in front. Rebound. They jam at it. And it's covered up by Hiller. He's got it.
Tired group out there for Calgary trying to just get to the end of the period. Winnipeg got through a full line change and offense his own time. Adam Lowry posted up front. Nice little drag and pull from Trouba to get it down there. Good shot. Gets it past Giordano. Lowry tips it. Tries to get a 5-hole, but quick glove by Hiller there to smother it. As time is running out, and what a difference a goal there could have made for Winnipeg. Jonas Hiller solid like it was the first.
3.3 seconds to go. Draw one, and there will not be enough time, and that will do it. So we are through two here in Winnipeg. About 45-minute drive from here is Selkirk, Manitoba, and we're heading back there to join Ron McLean as Rogers hometown hockey continues in a moment. Fortuitous discussion, Scott, because we were having the same one up here in the booth, and you said, I mean, I had heard that they were possibly going to send him down after the road trip. Mike, you were like, no, I don't think so.
I don't think so, and I think after 2 points and feeling good about himself, there's nothing that feeds an offensive player's game like scoring points, and game will get better and continue to grow as he starts to produce. He played one game last year after signing out of Boston College, and what does he do? Of course he gets a goal in his very first game last year against Vancouver, and this was his first of the season tonight. Nice little wraparound, took longer to come and score that goal than he wanted it to, but he's an offensive player. Once he gets a little confidence, finds his role, finds his rhythm, he will be able to score and create offense at the NHL level. So I don't think he's going anywhere, certainly not after his performance tonight so far.
His last year at Boston College, 80 points in 40 games. Wow.
They had a dominant line. His line mate in Boston College, Kevin Hayes scored his first goal of his career tonight for the New York Rangers, so maybe a little BC karma going around the league right now, but he had an incredible offensive season, put up numbers that haven't been seen for a long time at the college level. Scoring streak tying Paul Kariya, only had 2 games without a point. I mean, you can go on and on for the Hobey Baker winner, and it's tough for such a young guy with all that hype heading into this season.
Shot came in there from Russell that was stopped up. 3-1, Calgary leading. The bottom end of a Hiller will grab that. Bottom end of a long, what many thought would be an arduous road trip. I'm sure it has been, but a 6-game road trip, some thought it could sink them.
You knew it was going to be tough. You needed good goaltending, and they have gotten that. Bob Hartley has gone with the rotation. Back and forth they've gone. Hiller, Ramo, Hiller, Ramo, and they both have played exceptionally well, giving their team chances to win. Kari Ramo has been very good. He won in Nashville. Hiller won in Chicago. They are doing what they need to do to be successful.
Down in the corner. Trying to come out there is Little. Backlund. Trying to backhand it. Byron knocked it towards the front of the goal, but broken up there. Bogosian. Ladd hits the line, chips it across. Play goes offside. Well, it is hometown hockey on Sundays, and it's kind of cool when you look at the number of players born in the sort of province, state, the home area, if you will. And I was doing my prep a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed Calgary boy, they have a lot of guys from Alberta. So we crunched the numbers, and indeed, look how it comes out. The Calgary Flames, a credit to the organization. And I don't know if it's necessarily by design or just by happenstance, but I don't think it ever hurts to have a bunch of guys in the lineup who have friends and family living in the area where they grew up in the area. It's got to bring something extra special to it.
I know it firsthand. I played for Toronto for 4 years, the first 4 years of my career, and it does. It's a unique position to be in, to play in the NHL where you grew up, in front of your friends, in front of your family, and if there's a little added motivation ever needed, it's always there.
And I mean, it's a long time ago, much before my time, but teams used to be much more rooted in the community than they were. For example, if you were a French Canadian, you played for the Montreal Canadiens. They drafted all players from Quebec. There wasn't a draft. They just got them. Postma comes up, trying to get it in on goal. Follows it up nicely. Postma there at the side. Lowry flips at it, and Hiller will grab onto it. And here we go.
Lance Boma. He has been in the middle of everything tonight for the Calgary Flames with that cage on him, but he has dragged his team into a game that they had no business being successful in large part because he led them in the first period, the kind of energy and passion they needed to play with, starting by sacrificing himself, blocking shots, killing penalties. And if you're on the bench and you're needing a little life, you get it right there. That's Yuri Hoodler. That's Curtis Glencroft. Those are skill guys saying, you know what, we got to play more like Lance Boma, running around, playing physical, and then you know what, in front of the net, hacking and whacking when need be as well. It doesn't matter, you get the mask on, pushing Adam Lowry out of there. It has been quite a night for Lance Boma.
Well, and it's like comedy, Mike. Timing is everything, and Boma put on that great shot-blocking show, that great display of heart and guts in the first period when his team was struggling. And it was so appreciated. You could see that great reaction on the bench. Here's Party. Under siege in his own zone. He's number 2 out there for Winnipeg. Got it to Postma, and Postma snowshoes his way clear, gets it up ahead. Walking in now is Lowry, and the play goes offside.
All that speed and cohesion that we saw out of Winnipeg in period number 1 has left them. Their legs have left them, and has their ability to pass the puck and move the puck up smoothly. That's what Paul Maurice was after tonight's game. That's what he was trying to be mindful of. He saw it for one period. He saw how well they did. Well, because of it, got to get back to it and find a way to generate some speed through the neutral zone.
Just further emphasizing the turn of the table, if you will, in that second period. Calgary had 18 shots on goal in the second, the most they've had in a period this season, and the most in a second period since March 30th of 2014 in a game against Ottawa when they chipped up 21. Puck locked up there. Riding up after it. Byron couldn't get to it. Ladd. Just tipped down in deep by Buckland. He comes up. Tried to get a piece of Giordano. Didn't get much of him. Lots of room for Brody. Hits the line. Drops it back. Sniped on goal by Backlund. Rebound in front. There's a shot. Scores! Bodie. TJ Brodie right there. And the roof continues to crumble in on Winnipeg.
TJ Brodie playing with so much confidence, spends more time hanging around the offensive zone. He's not bailing out, he's grabbing loose pucks and gonna bury that roller right up and under the bar. But you just love the fact that he's feeling good enough to challenge guys and drift forward and make plays and be a leader. And oh my, you get a great look at it there. Gets clipped by Andrew Ladd. Loose puck is finding him right now. Michael Backlund forces the Jet defender out of the way, and no mistake on the finish for Brodie. His third of the season.
Calgary goal, his third of the season.
Boy, that twosome of TJ Brodie
The assistant for 11.
and Mark Giordano have really done some great work tonight. Take a look at our keys of the game, brought to you by Tim Hortons.
For Calgary, it's about maintaining intensity at the end of a road trip. Well, they didn't maintain it, but they certainly discovered it after the first period, led by Lance Boma. For the Jets, we talked about those up-tempo breakouts with timing, with precision, good passing. We saw it for one period. We haven't seen it since, and it's going to be the team that's done it for the most of the game, 2 out of 3 periods, that looks like is going to win this one in the Calgary Flames.
Corner. Bollig after it. And Bollig kicked it loose. Puck tucked back out. Chance to ready aim and fire it for Russell. Comes up around. Weidman over to Russell. And lunges. Kept that from becoming disastrous. The Jets would have been breaking away quickly with numbers. Now they'll come out. Down the wing. Wheeler in over the line. Cuts across. Scheifele up there. Postma dropped it back, flicked towards the goal by Wheeler, kicked away, comes up there for Enstrom, moves it up around, back of the goal. Glenn Cross, oh, he was given a bump there as he came in over the line. He looked up, way up, and saw Bogosian right there.
4-1 game for Calgary, very much in control. You think, well, they must have dominated this one. Not the case. Jonas Hiller has been full value for where they are in this game, especially in that first period when Winnipeg had all kinds of chances, all kinds of plays around the net. This one in the second might have ended the game 2-0 right there. He gets back, keeps it off the line, and obviously the number of saves matter, but so often the timing of those saves. And Jonas Hiller, for the second game in a row, last game he started against Chicago, he was unbelievable, been very good again tonight.
Point taken there, especially in the first. I mean, the Jets looked as though they were going to blow this one open, and Hiller was sharp. Coburn looking for it. A little bit of a ruck there in the neutral zone. Puck comes loose. Frolik fires it in, and it's stopped by Hiller. And Gagliardi put the brakes on, and that draws a crowd, predictably.
For Calgary, got to keep playing. It's a learning process for these guys. They've had their moments where they've had some success late in games, but you have to keep pushing. Bob Hartley understands. Lots of teaching still to be done. Marty Jelena, assistant right there as well. Talking to their guys. Got to keep reinforcing the message that they're selling. But to do so while winning, imagine coming back 4-2 in this road trip. We can't say it enough. We would never have predicted that heading out. And looks like it's going to happen heading home.
Bob Hartley, of course, has done it in the NHL. Doesn't have anything to prove there. Also a very successful coach over in the Swiss League. The season he coached the Zurich Lions. turned them around, and they won a championship.
Also playing against his former franchise, we could call it. He was the head coach of the Atlanta Thrashers for some time, and you know, like a player, always a little extra something when you go back to play against one of your former teams.
And Bob was also a very good coach in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Goes back a long way. Peluso got it back to the line. Wrist shot comes in. Trouba let that go. It was knocked down. Just to close the loop on the Zurich Lions, by the way, Mark Crawford is now coaching the Lions over in the Swiss League and has had a couple of very good seasons. Russell. High fly ball to shallow center field. That was grabbed. Pavlik just drops it off. Ladd tips it across. Little clears it up into the corner. Brody gets it up around, knocked down by Postma. Kept it in quickly.
Behind.
Postma. Ladd in over the line. It didn't get a great shot away. It rolls in, and Hiller will grab onto it. Shots on goal are even at 26, but big lead on the scoreboard for the Flames, 4-1. Back with Hometown Hockey in a moment.
Welcome back to MTS Center in Winnipeg as we continue with Rogers Hometown Hockey. Not much has gone right for the Jets since the first period, but in the big picture, Adam Lowry's paying off as a third-round pick by the Jets 3 years ago. The big forward with 10 hits in his last 2 games, thrilled to make the Jets opening day roster. Equally thrilled for him was his father, Dave, who played 19 seasons in the NHL and is now head coach of the Victoria Cougars of the Western League. Dave played for 5 different teams, had to prove himself at each stop, so Adam, who played just under 8 minutes in the first 2 periods, was 5 of 8 on faceoffs, takes nothing for granted, knowing that an off night or two could send him back to the American League. Paul?
Thanks, Scott. The cliche springs to mind. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I tell you what, his father, Dave Lowry, was a hard-nosed player. He brought everything he had into every single game, and if Adam Lowry does that, he'll have a nice career.
Icing call.
And it's a lot to ask. I mean, he started on the wing. He played a little bit in center last couple of years in the minors, so he's got some experience there, but it's a very different world at the NHL level playing center, regardless of your experience doing it beforehand. To be over 50% in a faceoff circle is huge. Defensive responsibility and reads, dealing with traffic in and around your own net is all very different for a centerman than a winger. And Paul Maurice likes to compare him to Brandon Sutter in Carolina, a guy he coached very young who had just that defensive acumen and awareness. I think Adam Lowry's got that. He's going to be a quick study in the center ice position.
What do you recall as the biggest adjustment when you first stepped into the NHL? Is it one single thing?
Everybody is so strong. You go from wherever you were, as Blake Wheeler's going to pick up a cross-check penalty on Chris Russell.
Oh.
Here we go. Blake Wheeler's already had a couple fights this year. And fought Shane Doan of all people in their first game. Yeah, that's right. Shane Doan, as Paul Romanek raises his eyebrows at that story, but he's trying to add a little more physical element to his game. He's got to pick up the original cross-check or board for his hit on Chris Russell. And probably that'll be just about it out of this scrum. And this is some frustration coming out for the Winnipeg Jets here, even their skilled players in Blake Wheeler. And no need for that. He presents the number. He doesn't move late or anything. He can push him in the hips and got him in the boards. He can push him in the Russell and push him head first down into it. He finished high. Shoves him in, not violently, but it's one that he could have mitigated with a little bit more caution.
26 blue, 2 minutes, cross-checking.
He'll get the cross-check penalty.
Had an interesting discussion before the game. We were talking to Shane Knighty, who works on the Winnipeg Jets regional broadcast and the radio and so on. And Shane was saying, and you guys were having a good chit-chat about it, 2X players, that guys don't always protect themselves as well. They leave themselves exposed to hits like that.
Yeah, because you know that the rules are there to protect you, and you've been taught to protect the puck by not presenting it. So you present your back by keeping the puck away from guys and put yourself in vulnerable spots.
Brody fires it up, and that's knocked down and cleared.
But there is an element of truth to that you have a responsibility to protect yourself, be aware, and you can't just turn your back and not expect anyone to bump into you, because that's not the case. Guys still will.
Back up towards the corner. And nobody home at the blue
Two
line.
examples of it right there. Mark Giordano, someone comes to him, spins his back. Colborne, someone comes to him, spins his back. That's just how guys are taught to play nowadays, and it does bring in that kind of hit more often.
Goodrow in over the blue line. Tucks it back. Worked across. Giordano setting up for the one-timer. Won't get it here. Looks through and sends in a wrist shot. Rebound right in front. Getting up there is Raymond. Looking. Plays it back. Punched it on goal by Weidman. Rebound fired just wide. And Weidman couldn't keep it in. Springing back down is Ladd. Ladd moving in. Oh, he fanned on it. Tried to look over towards Little. And then fanned in the shot. And a penalty coming up.
That's just going to be an icing, I
check
think.
that. Pardon me.
Dennis Weidman trying to keep this alive. Good stick from Andrew Ladd. Weidman gets not the puck or the body. 2-on-1. Ladd's a shooter, and he just puts his blade right over top of that puck. Nice job by Giordano to take the pass away, but that's just a miss. And you see the coaching staff trying to keep Andrew Ladd's spirits up, because that was a trigger that he wanted to pull.
Trouba rings it around.
And if you don't think Winnipeg is thinking offense, they got Dustin Byfuglien killing penalties right now up front with Mark Scheifele. Scheifele does it. I don't know if I've ever seen Dustin Byfuglien kill penalties before. And I've seen a lot of games here in Winnipeg as a forward.
Well, the Jets' offensive woes continue to have to keep hammering that nail, but they scored 6 goals in their opening game and have only scored 2 since, including the one tonight. Trouba coming up. Russell. Teams at even strength. Chris Russell. Got it in over the blue line. Boma up there trying to chase it down. Bogosian. Crisply up ahead for Frolik. Couldn't wheel it in. Smead under siege there back in the net. Just rattles it off the boards. Getting some support there from Brody. Puck comes out. And Boma was in, offside.
The 4th goal scorer for the Calgary Flames, TJ Brody. What a start to the season it has been for him. And his progression has gone steadily upwards. And because of that, the Calgary Flames feel pretty good about where he's at and where he's trending. And they're looking to get TJ Brody locked up into a nice long-term extension, which could be happening imminently, perhaps as soon as tonight, tomorrow, whenever they hammer out the final details. Looking at 5 or so years and $4.5 or so million per season, which is right on par with where he should be. And what a nice feeling that would be for a young player. He's still a young guy to know that your future is going to be secure at the stroke of a pen here in the next couple of days because of your good play here last year and to start this season.
Peluso plays it in. Thorburn up there. They kind of crisscross. Almost ran into one another. Postma. Here's Diaz. And Peluso having a little go at his man over on the wing. That was Smead. Nothing developing out of that. As the Flames will change it up. Little and over the blue line up there with Ladd. Sharp angle, snapped one there, steered away. Ladd spins away from the check. He's got Little down low. Got it there. Little tried to give it a little tip. There he is again. Little tucks it out for Ladd. And couldn't deliver it on target. Ladd over there, gets it back. Byfuglien, wrist shot, pushed away there by Giordano. Now comes in front, backhander right on goal. Brian Little with a chance, and it's stopped and covered up by Hiller. 8:44 to go in the 3rd period. Back with more Rogers Hometown Hockey here on City.
Hasn't been a great start to the year for Dennis Wideman. Was a healthy scratch in one game, but it has been a terrific night given the kind of performance the Calgary Flames hope to get out of it. Scoring some goals, taking hits to make a play. That long stretch pass results in this Mason Raymond goal. And you know what? You deserve to celebrate when you take a hit like that to cue up a transition opportunity. Dennis Wideman, the highest paid player on the Calgary Flames, giving them the kind of production they're hoping for tonight.
Oh, the guy's a horse. He plays a lot of minutes. It was one game last year he played 38 minutes and 5 seconds.
That's too much. That's too much. That's going to be a penalty.
Yeah. And it will be indeed. And that's going to gather a crowd. You see something like that happen, it's like matter being sucked towards a black hole. Everybody's going over, you know that.
Of course, he's trying to say, what's my penalty for? I tried to take a run on him, but I missed him. He better be careful, though. Don't touch the referee or linesman, because he'll be sitting down for far more than 2 minutes if that's the case. But that pack mentality on both teams, if there's a scrum, everyone's going to get in there and support each other, make sure no one gets taken advantage of. But you're right, that's Blake Wheeler, second time in this third period where he's shown frustration with the outcome, frustration with his game. He's not happy, he loses his stick right there. Little catch feet, Glenn Cross skates through it. He's not happy, there's no call, and so he takes a run, he misses. In theory, that's not really a penalty because he never touched him, unless you're going to give him a rough or an unsportsmanlike, but Glenn Cross on coming, ducked, got out of the way. They've added Joe Colburn to the box for Calgary. So we'll see if they don't even things up here.
So Hometown hockey tonight in Selkirk, and a splendid time being had by all by the looks of things from where we sit. Next week, Saskatoon, running back to Saskatoon. And we could fill, pardon me, an entire screen and you wouldn't see a soul with names of players from the great province of Saskatchewan, and many hailing from Saskatoon. Ron McLean will be there next week with a cast of thousands.
That's going to be great. A passionate sports province is Saskatchewan. It will be a fun time had by all for sure.
I used to love going there back in the day to do junior hockey games. Did many in Saskatoon, in Regina.
Certain affinity. My father was born and raised in Moose Jaw, so I have a little tie back into Saskatchewan as well.
My dad is from bigger Saskatchewan.
There you go. Well, I guess it's bigger than mine.
Lots of Ucks and Chucks and Eastern European immigrants, Ukrainians out in that neck of the woods. And around here, too, for that matter.
2 minutes for Wilfing. To Winnipeg, number 5, Mark Stewart, 2 minutes for Wilfing. And number 26, Blake Wheeler, 2 minutes for charging.
Wheeler gets the charge.
Calvin.
Extra 2 minutes goes up on the clock against the Jets. Calgary in the power play. Salt at hand, wound exposed. Giordano to Brody. Tucks it up, knocked down there. Enstrom plays it up. Little moves in, waits still, then he shoots, and Hiller stayed with it and made the save.
Brian Little right now talking to the referee. He's looking for a penalty on TJ Brody. What a savvy play this is. It's a quick 2-on-1 here. He's got Andrew Ladd flying by him. Watch his stick out there, knock him off stride, allowing Gaudreau to get back to close down that 2-on-1 opportunity. So subtle. Now this is actually interference. You stick it right to his knee, break his stride. He could have been in their back door. And now Brian Little's left to take a wrister on Jonas Hiller. That is a wily veteran play by a young guy.
Kudler just leaves it there. Flames on the power play, not getting a great sense of urgency from them. And with a 4-1 lead, why would they have it? Puck rolls in there to Pavlik, and he will hang on to it.
Well, at this point, we got Winnipeg just trying to create offense on the penalty kill. And Paul Maurice has got to be a little bit concerned how this season has gotten Good first game against Phoenix. They put up lots of goals, big win. They had a tough schedule to follow that up. Phoenix, San Jose, LA, Nashville. Those are tough teams to play against to start the season, but back at home here, this in their first couple of years was a very difficult rink to play in. The energy in this building was infectious for the Jets. That hasn't been the case last year. Certainly hasn't been the case the first couple games of this season. He's going to need more out of his group than just Evander Kane getting back and healthy.
Gagliardi up there towards the corner, rubbing shoulders with Glenn Cross. Monahan. Monahan was looking there for Hudler coming down the right side. Now this is Monahan. Drops it back. Hudler shoots. That was knocked away. And Scheifele wheeling back down. Came in over the blue line. Byfuglien turns it back. Over to Scheifele. Penalized player for the Jets back out there. Scheifele here. He's got some room now. Shoots. Rising shot. Wrestled down by Hiller. Nice shot by Scheifele as he created a good chance there.
Good rush there by Mark Scheifele. The only goal scorer here for Winnipeg. The challenge for the Winnipeg Jets. Things aren't going well. You want to create offense. Now you start cheating to create offense. Not making the hard plays at the right spot. Over skating pucks. Dustin Byfuglien flies by one, gives up a 3-on-2 going the other way. Paul Maurice told us before the game, they have to stay with it. They have to play better defense, and that will allow them to create more chances going the other way. And they've drifted away from that as this game has gone on, and correspondingly their chances have gone down.
Enstrom there at the blue line. Go, go, go! Wasn't able to keep it in. Bollig. Lowry pushing it in. Gagliardi throws himself into it. Lowry up there as well. And TJ Brodie will come away. Settles things down. Little lane up there in the left side. Bowman taps it in from just inside the blue line, and it's grabbed and held by Pavlik. From the MTS Center in Winnipeg, you're watching Rogers Hometown Hockey here on City. Back in a moment. The Flames hoping these three individuals will all be key pieces of the organization moving forward, but you will note Sam Bennett not with the team, and there's a reason for that. Shoulder surgery.
Just had shoulder surgery. Played last year in Kingston with a separated shoulder for much of the year. Same shoulder, different injury in prospect camp. Had to repair his labrum, same surgeon that repaired mine, but they loved his grit, his fearlessness, a lot like his coach, Doug Gilmour, or GM Doug Gilmour there in Kingston, wears 93 just like him. And if he's anything similar to that in the NHL, they'll have found themselves a gem.
Well, and it was one of those real aw shucks stories was Bennett, because he came to camp knowing that his shoulder wasn't 100%, but he said, I just wanted to make the NHL so badly. And as it turns out, hindsight being 2020, he probably shouldn't have.
But he played almost well enough with the bad shoulder to earn a spot on the team, which says so much about the kid. You like the fact that Calgary Flames took the decision out of his hands and said, no,
yes,
you're getting right, you're getting healthy, we have 12, 15 years planned for you, not this year we're worried about. Now, Bob Hartley would love to have him out here playing with his team because he was pretty dynamic. You remember this, he's playing these games with a shoulder that required imminent surgery as an 18-year-old fresh out of the draft, and he was impactful. He would have been on the team at least for the 9 games to start this year, but he'll be on the team for several years to come once he's fully healthy.
Oh no, you're so right, Mike. I mean, that's why it was, you know, it's one of the reasons we admire athletes, because you look at a guy like, and he just wanted it so badly and almost willed his shoulder to be better. And it was the wrong thing to do, but I mean, you can't fault a guy for it.
I admire the courage, but I also admire the ability to play through pain, because I've had that injury twice in my career, and it certainly affected the way I played as a 30-year-old with 10 years in the league. Here's an 18-year-old trying to go through it the first time, and he's still playing well enough to work through it. Speaks volumes of the kind of guy he is, kind of player he will be when he gets right.
Well, so best of luck to young Sam Bennett if you're watching. Get better quickly, and Flames fans, hockey fans will be happy to see you back in the lineup. Back to matters at hand. Lowry comes in. Tried to bulldoze his way through, just crashing into everything. Tried to get to the slot, chasing the puck along the wall. He's still into the hunt. Puck comes back. Trouba there at the blue line. There's Lowry again. Tucks it up ahead. No lack of effort on this shift from Adam Lowry, number 17, out there for the Jets. No! Pass up ahead. Monahan just redirects it. Here's Trouba. Perreault. He's looking for Wheeler, who is coming in off the wing. Stajan. Brody. Smead. Lofts it out there. Stajan comes in. Play goes offside.
Good game management here by the Calgary Flames. They have slowed this game down to a crawl in the third period. Lots of whistles, lots of men back. Bob Hartley's adjusted his defensemen. I think you guys were right. Rafa Diaz, who had a tough first period, not feeling quite right because he hasn't seen the ice for quite some time. He's gone to 5 defensemen, rotating them through. Well, Diaz, I think, still on the bench, but not playing anymore. And if he was healthy with a 4-1 lead, you still have him out there. You wouldn't be doubling up other guys, so likely not feeling so good, even though he's still hanging on the bench.
By the way, Mike, I know you usually enjoy this. You usually have your pen poised to jot down your 3-star calculations, but you can put the pen away. Put it away. Because
I've already done that.
The kids in Selkirk are going to pick the 3 stars tonight, so stick around for that coming up later.
Fantastic. I'm sure they'll do a much better job than me anyway, so looking forward to it.
Bogosian. Curl back. Enstrom. Gagliardi tips it down. Can't say enough about how well the Flames have done on this road trip. 6-game road trip after playing 1 home game right out of the blocks. Here comes Backlund. Works it across. Hoodler lost it. And they can head back to Calgary. Head held high. Weidman shoots right on. That is stopped by Pavlich, and he will hang on to it. And meanwhile, the woes continue for the Winnipeg Jets. You have to feel for them and their coach, Paul Maurice.
Yeah, it hasn't gone very well for them, but everything working for the Calgary Flames and Paul Maurice. Got issues across the board. They can't score goals. They can't score power play goals. Andrei Pavlich has been good up to this point, but not terrific in this game. And when you have a defense core like the Calgary Flames, Giordano can really shoot it. Weidman can really shoot it, as can Brody. You'd be well served to make sure to be aware of them in the offense zone, continue to get them the puck and generate point shots. They get a lot of offense out of that spot.
Winnipeg without a power play goal coming into this game. 0 for 12, 0 for 2 tonight. Wheeler. Being shadowed there by Weidman. Picked up. Perreault wraps it around. Couple of chips at it. And the second one is swallowed by Hiller.
Why not? A couple more good ones for Jonas Hiller to finish the game and finish the trip. It's been stupendous duo so far. Kari Ramo, Jonas Hiller, and Bob Hartley has committed to going back and forth regardless of who's played well. Ramo was better early, at least statistically speaking, than Jonas Hiller, but he's honored that rotation, hoping that someone around maybe game number 20 emerges as the go-to guy. But he's happy to have this problem of both of them playing well and earning that crease.
Adam Hardy back in his own zone. Here comes Postma. Up ahead, Slater knocked it down, fired it across. Breaking up there hard was Peluso on the right side, but just failed to negotiate contact, but he banks it back to the blue line. Postma keeps it in. Peluso, stick a little greasy, but he just flicks it up towards the corner. Slater. Peluso digging hard up there, number 14 for the Jets. He's got it. Peluso looks around. Enstrom banging his stick in the ice back at the blue line. Peluso goes back to the corner instead. Under a minute to go in this one. Enstrom steps up, moves it across. Peluso fires one. He'll go after it now down in the corner. Station trying to get it out. Brody helps him and gets the puck down the ice. Enstrom. Given a jar there by Smead. Enstrom gets it up around back of the goal. Under 20 seconds to go. Ladd fires one from the sharp angle. Comes back out, just pushed towards the corner. Wind long since out of the sails in this one for the Jets, and they will just drift under their own power into the harbor, and this one's over. Job done, 4-1 Flames.
All kinds of credit to the coaching staff for whatever adjustments they've made, and the paint peeled in that first intermission, and to the team for a tremendous road trip. 4-2 on a very difficult 6-game road trip to start the year. They'll be feeling really good heading home on the plane tonight back to Calgary.
You bet they will, and so they should. The Flames wrap up a 6-game road trip with a 4-1 win against the Winnipeg Jets. That's the story here in Winnipeg. Let's go back to George Stroumboulopoulos.